in your opinion, and I know you said you don't
the best borough?
Go too deep into it. No. We're never. Listen, we're not about that kind of like. We don't divide the city.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's what I'm saying.
We don't
Thank
do those
you.
politics.
Thank you.
Right?
People forget though that like the way that these things, I guess, are born. It usually comes out of just like joy. Just love.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
So that's a very, very important part of just the creative process in general. You want your art to reverberate in other people, and a very easy way to do that is to get other people involved in the art. So music is naturally a collaborative, social thing, you know. It's a conversation.
Welcome to the I Feel You vodcast. I am your host, Eddie Wise, and on this episode, we speak to Cast. Cast is a multimedia artist and entrepreneur. He is originally from the Bronx and New Jersey, and he first started releasing music at the beginning of the Soundcloud era in 2014. He writes, produces, and engineers all of his music, in addition to directing and editing his visuals. Despite his small discography, Cast has generated over 200,000 streams across all platforms, over half of those being on Spotify alone. He is also the founder of Illo, an all things creative company that houses his ventures in arts administration, design, and event production. On this episode, we speak on the origins of hip-hop in New York City, the inspirations behind his singles, and his new feelings towards collaboration. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to Metro Plus for powering the Who is New York City campaign. And without further ado, enjoy the episode. Like I said before, thanks again for being on.
Thank you. Yeah.
For this episode, and this is a special episode, just like the last one was, in that the reason why it's special is because we're having an event on September 21st.
Yeah.
And you are going to be a performing artist at that event, at the Project Feel event, which is...
if all goes well.
Yeah, if all goes well. I mean, if God allows, you know, if everything goes well. But yeah, you're going to be a performing artist, and one of the reasons why we wanted you to perform is, one, of course, we love your music. We're big fans. We've always been big fans. And you're one of the day ones for sure. And you know, you have a special relationship with the city and also
definitely
Feel.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the things we want to explore is that intimate relationship between the creatives and the city itself.
The city and stuff. Yeah.
And you're born in Bronx?
I'm actually born in Harlem. Yeah, but my parents were living in the Bronx when I was born. I always see it in bios. I never correct it just because like it's way too much to explain. Because I was raised in Jersey. That's also part of my, I guess, artistic experience. Yeah. So just the culmination of all of those areas has always played an impact. Yeah. Pretty big role in the stuff that I make. But yeah.
Would you consider yourself a proud New Yorker?
Yeah.
Group of people?
Absolutely. I think that like, I say yes. I'm always reluctant to like go in depth like about that kind of subject matter because a lot of artists tend to like co-opt the city aesthetic. Yeah. Just to have that kind of thing in their, you know, toolkit and, you know, but like I feel like a large part of being a New Yorker is like the sort of like nomadic experience of it all. The most New York shit you could do is like be from somewhere else. I've always said that. Like it's very like it's a very New Yorker thing to have a story elsewhere. Think of the most New York nigga you know, like their family comes from whatever, Jamaica, and they came in the 60s and then they left New York and they came back, blah, blah, whatever. It always, there's some aspect of movement. And to me that's what that's what it's all about here, you know. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. What, in your opinion, and I know you said you don't
the
usually
best
go
borough?
too deep into it. No. We're never. Listen, we're not about that kind of like. We don't divide the city.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We don't
Thank
do those
you.
politics.
Thank you.
Right?
Exactly. You know.
It's all equal.
People always ask that. I'm like, yo, come on.
If you had to say, like, if somebody would have asked you, some random stranger, someone who's not from New York, if they asked you, what makes someone a New Yorker? What would be your answer?
Yeah, I'd say like the nomadic aspect of it. It's always, everything is in motion. Like things are always evolving, moving around. Oh, we did that already. Flip it, reverse it, do it again. Shout out Missy Elliott. Like it's always very, very fluid. And I think that there's obviously there's so many things that like make you a New Yorker, whether it's
Yeah.
like the fact that you live there, were born there, grew up there, then moved somewhere else. If you strictly just work there, I would argue that you're part of that New Yorker experience. There's no set definition of what makes someone a New Yorker. I think that but that's part of the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there's so many different definitions. Like that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. There's some people say, oh, you have to live here at least 2 years, live here at least 5 years. Like for me, I think one of the huge criteria is like your experience with public transportation and the MTA. I feel like that's so formative to all of us. And yeah. If you don't have a favorite train, like
if you don't have a least favorite train.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad you say that, because I feel like that's honestly has been the answer in a lot of cases, is that there is no
set definition. So
there's there are people that come in and they're surprised when people say this, but they're like, I don't know, I don't feel like a New Yorker, like I don't. I'm like, have you been here for?
That's the thing,
like, have you experienced what we've experienced?
Right.
You can talk about New York just as much as anybody else can. You're a New Yorker. Like,
yeah, I think that like the way that interestingly enough, like the thing that unifies New Yorkers is like when we all collectively come together to like shit on something. Whenever there's like a thing that is a threat to the identity or the integrity of New York or whatever, like New York, that's the way you get New Yorkers together. It's to complain about something. Like and outside of that context, whenever you're speaking, upward or rather positively about like the New York experience, I feel like people can be reluctant because they're like, oh, I'm not sure if I count because blah 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 blah. So it all depends.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and it makes. I think I like a city like this. I like the diversity and the open nature of the city. Of course, it brings it brings a lot of very unique challenges, especially in politics. This isn't a show about politics, but if you have to think about it, it's all of these people. Ideally in a
Donald Trump is a New Yorker.
In a society, where there's a city or there's a town, what makes you a part of that, or what makes you like there, that you live there, is that your address is in some thing, and that your name is in the ballot box whenever there's an election.
Exactly.
Things like
participate
that, right?
in exactly.
But I think honestly, the creative culture, and like that aspect of New York has kind of like taken its place in a way, and where like you don't really have to be involved in the politics of New York, because kind of
as
like
long as
that's
you contribute to the movement and the culture,
you contribute to the art, you contribute to society,
the scene,
the scene,
it's all very
right? I think that's
always been the case a little bit, but I do think that the proliferation of internet culture made that possible.
For sure.
And just hip hop in general has always been about that, like connectivity. And like unity, like something for everyone type shit, So it's all very connected to what like the city's all about.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think hip hop has always been something that New York has. It was birthed out of the city, and of course Bronx is where it originated in the 70s, and it always had that identity. There's always that common thread in where it's a voice for people who have common struggles and that experience the same hardships, and it was always a voice in that way. And I think that you uniquely experienced that in New York, and then when hip hop came into the fold, it was like a whole nother it was obviously an explosion of art.
Hip hop could have only come from here. I really think that
it inspires people, and I'd imagine when it first happened, it inspired the people of New York to come together to talk about their similar circumstances.
About important stuff. Well, it's really started for fun, right? Like a lot of the very very early music that we call hip hop, all of the techniques behind what make hip hop what it is. It's all very. It was all birthed out of partying, having a good time, and then But yes, there was positive messaging that was put into it, and they spoke on important issues, but. At like the very very early stages, it was what they considered to be like the birth of hip hop was a party. It was a back to school party that Kool Herc threw. And like people do attribute all of the political stuff to it.
Well, I mean, it became a big part of it in the 80s.
Yes, exactly, and all of that is super important. And Yeah, I do think that there's a lot, like, people forget though that like the way that these things, I guess, are born, it usually comes out of just like joy, almost, just love, you know,
especially music. Yeah,
that
makes a lot of sense.
So that's a very, very important part of just the creative process in general. So.
And it was adopted to kind of, it just so happened to be a really unique way to express the times, and it was a really, really accurate way.
Yeah,
you could surmise what a period of time was like, more so in hip hop than any other, in my opinion, more so in hip hop than in any
black
other
music at the end of the
genre.
day. Yeah, that's why.
And their experience was incredibly unique, and it was one of the only ways that people listened to that experience, which is incredibly impactful.
Yeah.
In your younger ages growing up, speaking about you specifically in hip hop, what moments in your life were the most impactful, and were there moments that steered you towards hip hop in context of hip hop?
Yeah, I don't think there. I don't know. There was no. I don't know if there was one moment. It's just like it's a very like, that's a very charged question, because it's like, it's like asking, like, what's your, you know, relationship with your blackness? What's your? It's just who I am. Like, I don't really. To me, like, it embodies everything that I do. All of my approach to creativity is like, you cannot separate it. You just are it, or you aren't, and or you are it, or you aren't. And it's like, there's just so many memories that I have growing up of all of the music that I was like listening to or being put onto by my dad. It's all. I'm in the experience right now. Like, I'm living it right now. I don't think there's any like set moments where I could say like, and that would birth my love for rapping. Like, nah. Most people's experience with hip hop is actually like, there's music and then there's rapping. Yeah. You know, it's like either like a separate or just like a subset. And so there's all, you know, actual, you know, radio music that you listen to enjoy for fun and stuff. And then there's like rap, and it's like almost like a black sheep music kind of thing, where I didn't really, I never thought about it that way. I didn't realize that people thought about it that way until I, you know, grew a little bit older, and I started seeing. It
was always a part of your.
Yeah, it was always such a foundational like part of my like music journey. So I didn't really. There was never a moment where I was like, what's this? It just has always been part of who I am. Yeah. So. I know that's not an actual answer.
No, that's a good answer. That's a perfect answer. I mean, I think your relation to the way you related it to your blackness and your relationship with that, I think is a really succinct way of putting it, and it makes it a little bit more understandable for people who might not understand what it's like to grow up with like something that's intrinsic to your identity, but also is on some kind of scale that's above you, you know? Because I think
it's bigger than just me or
exactly. But it's such a massive
really
thing. It's such an impactful thing. But to you, it is like a part of you, right? It's just you.
Exactly.
And I think that's really cool.
Go ahead, sorry.
Were there any moments where you felt your relationship with hip hop was like strained at all?
That's a good question. If anything, I feel like I'm going through that right now a little bit. Because I'm starting to, I guess in general, there's been like, I don't know, my passion can't die in terms of like I don't even consider it like like it's just like who I am really, music. I do think that like right now, at least this is such a larger topic conversation because I can start, you know, just specifically with what you're talking about. Yeah. Moments where my relationship with hip hop is strained. Yes, like with the beginning of the Soundcloud era, when things got a lot more experimental and colorful, and then people started mumbling, and a lot of people didn't know what people were saying. What rappers were saying necessarily. Like there was a lot of friction around that, and people didn't, you know, embrace incredible artists like Young Thug and the Playboy Cardis, you know, came along like 2015, 2016. All of that, like part of hip hop is like resistance, like, or rather resistance is a part of hip hop, and making music that I guess is that comes from that resistance. It's always, you're always in some kind of clash of some sort. And I think that that's been lately my like problem with it. I feel like there's, and not to say that like I have a problem with the culture or the genre or anything like that.
No.
I think that the foundational problem right now in like the industry, hip hop, is the fact that the creators don't control the music. So there's only certain kinds of sounds and subject matters, songs with certain subject matters that are being like pushed to the masses.
Of course.
And I think that there's a lot, like people people think they have an understanding of blackness because they listen to hip hop music. For me, I don't know about other people's experience with this, but like it's so uncomfortable to me when I see some white Brooklyn gentrifier wearing like a Biggie shirt. You know what I mean? Like that's so weird to me. It's like it's almost like a yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's weird. I can't really describe it beyond that. There's so many examples of art becoming commerce over time. If you look at Basquiat, you think he would have approved him being on a fucking Uniqlo sweater? Probably not. Like there's so many examples of that happening. But like I think that right now my qualms with the way that we treat the genre have to do with the fact that the people who create the music don't control it. And yeah, and I just think that there's there's a lot of changes to be made there. So I don't know what the near future looks like. I guess I would just like to see a lot more power dynamics. I guess move toward the people's favor, toward the creator, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I think there's
I'm rambling, but
no, that was no. You ended it perfectly. There's always a life cycle to these things, especially art, and especially when it gets popular. There's the rise and fall, and there's the expansion beyond most people's control.
Yeah.
There's always a time in where it gets to the point where everybody is an audience member, right? Everybody is considered an audience member, and everyone is considered a fan or a student of this massive thing. But that's only allowed when the gates are so open, right?
Yeah,
when everybody can come in and partake.
When,
and there's benefits to it.
There's so many benefits to it.
There's beauty to it.
The
I'm glad
exchange of
hip-hop,
ideas, and that's all so important.
I'm glad hip hop made it to the stage that it is now too. But there's a lot of things like what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just a personal thing that has resulted from like knowing that Brooklyn gentrifier doesn't know the history of like what they're wearing. I for me it just comes from like I don't know how to articulate it in a way that's like doesn't seem like I'm like hating or anything like that.
It's fine.
I just care a lot. I care a lot. I care about people's exposure to certain taste levels, certain things that like have shifted the paradigms. Like I really do care that people are exposed to the right things, and I try to put that in my music.
Sure.
I try to let other people know that friends of mine that make music, I try to put them on to the right things so that they can draw inspiration from there and then put it in their stuff. I think that's all so important for the exchange of the right ideas, not just like the popular ones.
For sure.
Because like music, it's art, but like you can't set your own price for it. There are no like there's no like you can only do what people deem acceptable to do when it comes to setting your prices or incorporating certain sounds or working with certain people or talking about certain things. You can only, it's like, if you talk about these things, okay, you're hip hop. If you do this and then this sounds like that, oh, you're making alternative, rock, and it's like, to me, it's all like, I feel like hip hop isn't a genre, it's a culture, but for me, it's an era, like where this is the hip hop era of life.
Interesting.
So in the aspect of like, nothing new under the sun, everything is inspired by something. I think that the fact, like when we acknowledge that, that's when we shifted into this hip hop era. The fact that nothing, hip hop didn't make anything, it remade everything.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
That's
sense.
like the I think it comes from, forgot the name of the rapper that said that there's a really good documentary that I think it's by Ice-T, where he goes all around the country to different rappers talking about like their experience with like rapping and I think it's The Art of Lyricism, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the title of it, but it's a really good Ice-T documentary. And one of the rappers said that, and it's always stuck with me because it's true.
Yeah.
There is an act of creation in reconstruction, and I think that we're there right now.
Yeah. Very well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of your music,
Yeah. So I am.
got some singles out.
Got some new songs. Yeah.
Boo, Big White Truck.
Yep. Boo, Big
My
White
favorite
Truck. Prelude.
is the one about the baddie.
Yes. Yeah.
That's definitely my favorite track.
Yeah, it's up there for me. Yeah.
I love the track. It's
Thank you,
and you
man.
also
Thank you.
it's a re-release of Wild Times technically, is it?
Well, yeah. So I dropped the one about the body. I dropped that with Big White Truck.
Yeah.
Wild Times I released with Boo.
So
Those I've been doing I did them as 2 packs.
okay.
So Wild Times came out with Boo. That's the last thing that I put out, and by the time this episode airs, I'll probably have some more out.
Nice. What inspired the music that you're doing now? Yeah.
The re-release to Wild Times and Boo and stuff. I guess I felt like the most succinct answer I can give. I felt like I had to re-release Wild Times just to remind niggas. There are so many people whose opinions I love and respect who told me, this is your worst song, or it's my skip, or like blah, blah, blah. All your stuff is great. It's like, I've heard it so many times about that track, and all from people whose opinions I respect. And yet somehow every single word, every single lyric in that song still stands. The fact that I could put it out 2 years later and every single lyric, I could still stand by it as if I just released it. Not a lot of artists could say that. And yeah, I'm I just want to let people know that I'm a force to reckon with. And in that aspect, I'm not the, I actually talked about it last time we did this. I'm not no one's, I really do feel like when it comes to writing, I'm untouchable. I don't really, I have a gift in that aspect, and I don't, shy away from acknowledging that. And so me re-releasing Wild Times, that's what that was. The fact that 2 years later it still stands, that to me is, that's a flex in and of itself. With the one about the baddie and Big White Truck, those were just I made them separately. I didn't intend to release them together until very recently, but yeah, they're totally different songs, totally different speeds and styles. And I just when I figured out the unifying factor between them, which is the beep noise, the sensor beep, I was like, oh, these belong together. And so, yeah,
that's great.
I did that. And Big White Truck, I made it I was in San Diego with my boy Gene and Mo, and I wrote it there. I had the beat for a little bit, and I just polished it up a little bit, and I finished the whole song there. And I was like, oh, when I get back, I'm gonna lay this down.
And you said are you gonna do that one live?
Yeah, I did that one live at the Kingsland. The Kingsland. Fuck. I'm thinking Rockland. Nah, I did it at the Kingsland, and I want to say in July.
Nice.
July 20th.
Are you gonna do it again?
Probably, yeah. But what I do is for Big White Truck, I get someone from the audience and I swap out the name. So it was the lyric is Vic came through in Big White Truck. But I'll pick someone with a 1 or 2 syllable name, and I bring them up to the stage, and I have the whole crowd sing the lyric, and just moshed and the beat drops.
I can't wait to hear that song live.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna blow the roof off.
Yeah, I'll do it live on the 21st. It'll be good.
Fucking sick. I love that song.
Yeah, thank you, man.
But yeah, Wild Times is a classic. It's always been in the.
That's what I say. I feel like it's yeah. It is what it is. People have their opinions on what's good and bad music. To me, I love that song, and it hits differently. I don't know if you've ever listened to it at 3 in the morning. morning, it's like
Oh
it's
shit,
a
3 in the
completely
morning. Okay.
completely different experience.
I'll
3, 4 in the morning, completely
I'll
different
do that.
experience. Yeah.
How does this era of music for you compare to your other eras of because you have spots in time, I feel like, where your music was going through a lot of
evolution
changes.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does this one compare?
That's a good question. Damn. I think that like when I was in previously with I Love You, Never Forget That, which is the 3 songs, Whoa, Hush, My Oh My. I think that I honestly, like, I guess just the phase of life that I was in, it's this, all right, the answer to that is like the same answer that I can give for all of my music. Like whatever I'm going through it'll be reflected in what I make.
Yeah.
How I put it out is like completely, you know, it could be completely different. It could be at the same time. I could make a song and then release it a month later, a year later, 2 years later. Like it all depends on like where I'm at too. So with this era, how it differs, I think that there's a lot more. With those 3, with Whoa, Hush, My Oh My, there was a lot of. I've had those in the clip for a while. Like I really wanted to make beautiful melodic songs that were universal, that people could play anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, it was a little bit of fan service. With these songs, I'm sort of just doing whatever the fuck I want. I really just like, I'm tapping into like the most important thing, and it relates to the core principle of hip hop. It's fun. You have to love what you do. You have to like get joy from making music, like, or doing anything. That's the most sustainable place to work from, is joy. You know, that's the best gasoline to have in your fuel tank as a creative, is fun. When you're doing something for the pure joy of it. And it was much easier to do that in high school when I did not make anything for money or for clout, or I was, you know, recording fucking anywhere and everywhere, and you know, empty classrooms or backstage, and using the curtains as soundproofing in my car, everywhere, you know, because I was just doing it for the fucking love of the shit. It was so much. It was just fun. It was just so much fun. And now it's more difficult to do that when you have a lot of like added pressures of, yo, you're getting older. Like, what's the financial situation looking like? What are you gonna do with X, Y, Z? Parents are getting older. They want to know, oh shit, you know, are you gonna, you know, settle down and that? Like all of that's, you know, up in the air.
The pressures of New York as
well.
Yeah,
the city also.
All the creators around you that you surround yourself with.
And all of the people in different places.
Everybody's working.
There's a lot more. It's a lot easier to forget about the fun and to do things out of necessity and just sort of like formality purposes. But with these songs and with the next few, it's just like I'm just having fun. I'm just trying to
that's good.
Tap back into that, and I think I've been doing it, especially with Prelude #1 in C# minor. I think that like that song for me is so like, of all of them, that's probably my favorite of everything I released this summer. Just because like my favorite part of the song, I don't know if you've heard it, but like there's like beat switches in it that go sort of just from like this jazz like interlude section right back to that trap beat. For me, my favorite part of the song is the laughter. So I sampled a bunch of recordings of it's like none of it's staged. All of it comes from different like studio sessions, videos. Just I chopped it all up and I sort of made this like what's the word? Mural. Mosaic. Yeah, I guess it'd be mosaic of just me and my friends, you know, enjoying life. And I sliced it up as these literal like slices of life. Yeah. As like moments of suspension right in between the fucking with. Like that is so, I love that. Like, and it's to me, that's unlike anything that I've ever heard. So that's why that one's my favorite of all of the tracks I've released this summer. Yeah. But yeah, fun, man. Yeah, you gotta love what you do. Yeah, trying to.
I mean, on top of all the pressures that you talked about, you also you write, produce, engineer. You do. Still, I'm assuming you still do this, but you just do everything for your music, for your own music.
Yep.
And that, which is it's an incredible feat.
It's insane. I don't recommend it to anyone.
I guess why? Yeah. What's the? Is that always been your journey from start to now this has
Yeah.
always been the way that you did it? Is that
Nah,
your just
when I
preferred
first
method, or?
when I first did it, when I was first making music, I would just YouTube like Joey Badass type beat or whatever.
Yeah, the type beats, you
all
know?
the type beats, and I was
Classic,
getting
classic.
the same ones. It was the same like 20 or so YouTube producers.
I mean, especially back then, it was like not
like,
as saturated as
exactly,
it is now.
exactly.
It's
It was like
very saturated
2014,
now.
2015. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I started producing really out of necessity. I just started doing it just because I felt like I was like, all right, like no one's gonna give me beats.
Yeah, nothing was
so let me
satisfying
just
too.
make shit.
Yeah.
And then I got pretty decent at it.
Nice.
And yeah, mixing and all of the engineering came out of that too. So I don't know if I'm gonna always like do every single step for every single thing that I release. Like I'm so much more open to collaboration nowadays than I used to be. I'll probably still like produce and mix at least, but I think that the process of like getting like a fantastic master, that's a totally different skill set from being a fantastic producer.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a totally different skill set from being a fantastic
And they often like clash.
mixer. Yeah, and some stuff clashes. Yeah, it's all it's all different, you know, trades, and I'm learning a lot more about all of them. But yeah, I think that it really birthed out of necessity. I just wanted to not like, I didn't want to, there isn't anything that anyone can do for me that I can't do for myself. That's the way that I think about it when it comes to like making things. And if there is, then I find someone, you know, and that's why like with collaborating, I'm more open to it, but I still like have like the reason why I would want to collaborate or why I would want a feature from someone is because they would be feeling and doing something that I can't do or that I can't provide. And so it's like my way of like going like, yo, okay, all of this is dope, but like I'm essentially saying like, yo, like this person is better, and this is, you know, here you go, I'm platforming, you know, this moment for that person. Like, oh, you thought I was dope? Nah, boom, XYZ, you know. That's really what I see a feature as, you know. And vice versa. Like I'm not gonna, like if you feature me on a song, like I'm gonna stunt the fuck out. Like, you know, I wanna, you know, that's the way I think about it. Call it competitive. I don't really think of it as competitive. You just gotta do your best shit, and It's
a good way to think about it. It's like if you bring somebody on, it's because they're gonna, you know,
be them,
supplement something. That they'll provide something that otherwise you wouldn't be able to achieve in quite the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you could definitely do something to this, but there's like there are
but
sounds
why?
that people
Like,
there are sounds that people can achieve, or the sounds that people naturally have or have
in
honed
them
over a
and
period of
stuff.
time, and it's like when you hear it and when you hear them on the track as well, like if you're ever making something and you're just like, oh, I can hear this person on it.
Exactly.
Like,
that's the best shit.
what?
I don't like when I get a request for like featuring a song and I'm like, yo, any other rapper could have done this. Like, I feel like you're, you know, like that. It's my least favorite kind of thing. Cause I feel like you as a creator have a responsibility to like make sure that your art is as best as possible.
Yeah.
Make sure that your ideas are done justice. So I don't want to have to like do that for you and let you know, like, yo, like, you know, anyone could be on this, you know, you can't really.
Yeah, for sure. Are you?
I don't know if that's like cutthroat or whatever.
No, I mean, it's that's okay. Are you, before, because you said you're more open to it now, were you, where does your hesitancy lie in terms of collaboration? And especially back then, like, I guess, were there any experiences that you had that made you kind of like, you know, not really
OD, bro.
You know, you weren't really into it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, like, is some of it about control over like the product that you have, or is it more so just like?
Yeah, I'll say I'm a control freak for sure. I there is like an aspect of it that is like, yo, I want to make sure that like, because once it's out forever. So I want to make sure that I have like total say so over all aspects of my art. But I do think that, like, I've had experiences where I've like written entire verses for, you know, other people where I didn't really intend to. Now I'm much more open to doing that kind of thing. But back then I was always very like, yo, like, you know, if I'm asking you for a feature, you gotta like, I want you to, you know, work as hard as I do, you know? So I think that is always, and I just got to a point where I was like, nah, like no features, no nothing. I'm gonna just me. And it, you know, that also can be bad because you want your art to reverberate in other people, and a very easy way to do that is to get other people involved in the art. So music is naturally music is naturally a collaborative social thing, you know. The conversation we're having is music. It's back and forth, call and response, you know. So it's all very like inherent to being a human. And I guess like when you don't open yourself up to the possibility of like other people contributing ideas, you can, you know, you can almost ruin the work, you know. And I've experienced that too. Yeah. Where I'm like, yo, I'm trying to, you know, I'm banging my head into a wall with like where to go with this, and I'm like, oh shit, it needs, you know, this person's expertise for this kind of thing. Yeah.
And that's, I think, you know, of course I resonate with your experience. Just it's especially in, I mean, I guess in New York we live in a very special place, and that there's like there are endless people to you know, attempt to collaborate with. You know, you can throw a rock outside and
you'll find someone,
right? So we have the luxury of that, but it's also difficult, especially when you feel like maybe someone's not taking it as seriously as you might be. Yeah. Like when you get in the studio and somebody's like, you know, not really there, or they're
I tell
trying
them,
to do.
I'm very upfront about those kinds of things.
It's really tough, because also people have their ways of going about shit.
Yeah.
It's really easy to not vibe with the way that someone works. Yeah. Like it's very.
That's why I only really work with friends. I don't like, you know, I don't really do things with strangers in terms of like. Music's very intimate for me, so I can't, you know, just like, oh, here's a person that like I've never met before. I gotta have at least like a hour or two combo with you before I'm, you know, start producing for you, whatever. I have my list of questions that I ask people before I start producing for them or doing any kind of work for them, just because I want to get an idea of like, where are they making stuff from? Who are you? What are you scared of? Like, what's all of that shit is important. I think that we're all very like, oh yeah, you know, just whatever, throw, you know, different colors onto the canvas and, you know, see what comes of it. But I think that there should be intention in the things that you make.
There's definitely a power in specificity. Yeah. Especially with music, which oftentimes feels a little more loose, you know, with music when people are creating music.
Even if the intention is just to have fun, you know, that's intention. That's like,
I think it's a bit harder to do that with people. But once you hone that skill, I think it's like one of the most useful. When you can inspire someone and invite someone in, and you can, there's a book that I read where it's basically one of the best abilities that you can have as an individual is to inspire, you know, motivation in someone for your own cause. Yeah. And help them see the value, see the value in their participation, and not just in a way that's like, you know, monetary.
Was it directing and acting?
No. It's a common thing, but it's the book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay, it's a really popular book. But basically, that is one of the most useful skills that you can have, is to inspire other people to be a part of your mission. And I think once you get that skill going, once you feel that energy and you can get people all in a room and you can just create anything, like that's like you're good. You know, that's what you need. Dream collaborations. Do you have any of those?
I've been asked this. My go-to answer has always been Young Thug.
Oh wow, hell yeah!
Because like for me, like if I go through all of my favorite artists, they're all great.
Of course,
you know, whatever. For me, I just like because he correlates with my idea of like why I would want a collaboration. It's so that it's because he would feel. He does, like, all of my favorite artists, they're all great, but for all intents and purposes, I'm not saying like I'm as good as them, but for all intents and purposes, I do what they do. Right? Like I'm not gonna name them anyone, but like the stuff that they do, I do it too, and I do it in my own way. Yeah. And like it'd be great. Like I'm not gonna say no if one of them asks for a collaboration or something. But I in terms of like, I would love to like write a piano ballad for Young Thug and like, that would be so fucking amazing. Are you kidding me, man?
That's so fun.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. He's just so versatile, and like his choices and melodies. Yeah. He floats. He's a floater.
he's
incredible.
Different for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, he's I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but I don't know if he's ever getting out of jail. It's looking rough.
It's not.
It is looking rough for Thugger.
Homie, bro.
It's not looking great.
I
It's not looking great.
I don't know, man. It's
free
tough.
slime. It's all.
Yeah, when you get involved in
some
shit.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it hits the fan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly true.
That's how it goes. You know.
It is what it is.
Briefly, I just wanted to mention, just to have a comment, because
sure.
just because we can. We kind of dropped the hint earlier, but a long time ago, in a land far, far away, the land being Bushwick.
Oh, I know.
We actually had an episode filmed. I don't even know what year at this point, but it was like...
No, it was last year. It was
it was not last year. No shot.
Yeah, it was last year. It was
no fucking shot. Bro.
Yeah. It might have been maybe time for me is very... maybe it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
Forever ago, yeah. Definitely, if not last year, then the year before. But
definitely before last summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, we...
bro. When did Will Smith do the slap? Because we talked about that. Was that last year?
Really?
Yeah. How long ago was that?
We talked. That was last year's Oscars then.
Was it?
When was the Oscars? Like February or some shit? I don't know. It was after that though.
It was very close after that.
Wow, that was that long ago.
Yeah.
Holy, news cycles are crazy.
Yo, crazy. Yeah.
That it's like that thing constant just every pushing. 2 weeks, bro. But yeah, no. It was a good. It was a good time.
It was a great time.
Yeah, well, our first like long conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say.
Yeah.
And this would probably be like our second.
That sounds right. No, I think we've
chatted.
talked
we like
once or
sit down
twice.
and we like have conversations
in depth about other stuff. But yeah. This would be probably 4 or 5.
But yeah, man, I'm glad we're doing it
Me
again.
Me too, man.
It's
yeah,
nice.
I'm in the room. It's crazy.
With for y'all who are curious, we might
figure something out with that.
Yeah, because cool. It's there and it's.
That's what I like. I looked it over. I was like, yo.
Content.
It's a good interview. It's a good interview. There's a lot of good stuff that we talk about
it's
here.
Solid, yeah.
And, it's solid,
it's always I think one of the more interesting things too, and I mentioned this, but like when you're experiencing two people kind of find their flow. Right, or they're finding their way of speaking to each other. When you have a because my podcast back then was very kind of free flowing. We just talked about whatever, and that was like the vibe that I went for.
Yeah. And
now it's a bit different. We focused in a little bit more
thematically about New York and exactly.
But for that one, I appreciate and I did this this was with most of the people that were on the show. That's my first time talking to them, and I just appreciate looking back on those moments and thinking like, damn, like,
growth.
It's just a different time,
yeah,
and it's really fascinating to see. It's interesting because I'm typically pretty judgmental of my own work.
Yeah, me too.
And when I look back on that stuff, I'm like, yeah, these
are pretty good.
Yeah, this is like fun. It's like exactly. I guess when there's time in between, I felt that way with music that I've made too.
Dude, fun is the way to go. I'm telling you, that's the best fuel source. That's the you'll make like you just make stuff out of joy. That's the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have fun making music? Are you like
I mean, I haven't been making music really. No, because I kind of.
Dog, I've heard.
I got disillusioned a little bit, so.
I've heard your verses, bro.
Thank
I don't
you.
know about that.
They're
fire, bro.
It's there. Yeah, I just got man. It's just collaboration is
Churchill
what kind of like
shit,
killed
bro.
me a little bit. Oh yeah,
that's not some
fun.
shit that like any fucking rapper. Bro. Like that's not a. You killed it. Like
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Don't downplay your shit now. Come on.
No, I appreciate that.
I'm serious.
Yeah, maybe I'll still be here and there, but
maybe.
I'm trying to focus on the acting and this stuff, and
I understand, bro.
Honest to God, honest to God, it was like because we talked about it a bit, but the collaboration thing, it's like I'm like the opposite of you. I can write, but I can't produce and I can't engineer, and it would take a lot of time for me to learn that stuff. A lot of time that I feel like I don't have currently.
Right, yeah, okay.
And working with people is difficult because I can't be like paying people, Right.
And
I can't. And at that point, like I didn't have that natural skill to get people involved and get them really excited for something. That's something that I'm trying to develop now. But to get people to understand why I want them to be a part of this or why I feel like it would be valuable for us to do this, that's just not something that I have. And if you don't have that, you don't have money. You can't. It's hard to get people to care about. It's hard to get people to care about your
even
stuff,
in the acting world, right? Like it has to be collaborative, right? Like you have to be working with, you know, a bunch of other people. So yeah, I can definitely see the challenges coming up.
For sure.
You know.
But I mean, it's fun, like you said. I'm excited that I get to do it for fun now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
good.
I don't have to, like, if I ever get on something, like if I'm ever in a room and I get to write, like it's just because I'm just like, I don't care. This is do whatever I want, you know what I'm saying? So that's exciting. So before we encapsulate, before we package this moment and, you know, solidify it in time, first I want you to go with, like, how can we support you? Where's, you know, what's the best ways to support you and stuff like that?
The best way.
And then, like, if you have things coming up and stuff like that.
Best way to support me is to buy my music, buy my merchandise, come to shows.
Yeah.
You can go to www.illo.world. So ILLO.world. Yes. Or illorecords.com.
Nice.
Yeah. And there you'll find the links to all of my stuff and the best way to support me. Nice.
Yeah. And that's great. And
plugging myself is always
links will be
a challenge. But
links will be
just put them
in the
there.
description.
Yeah, I don't want to give the wrong website by accident. You know?
And last thing.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom?
Yes.
Damn. Oh.
Take your time.
I feel like you did this last time too.
I did. I've been.
There's 3 types of niggas. There's 3.
Yes.
There's 3, Eddie. There's niggas who make it happen, niggas who watch it happen, and niggas who don't know what the fuck is happening. Never be the third. Never be the third. That's it. That's best way I can close it out. You can quote me on these 3 principles also. This is another.
Okay.
I'll give you another little bonus one. Cast 3 principles to life are: be honest, wash your ass, handle your business. That's it, bro.
There you go.
You do those 3 things consistently, you're a decent human being. You're doing all right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It should be like under NYC when you like come into the city and there's the sign. You just like those 3.
Those 3. Be honest. Wash your ass. Handle your business. That's
there you go.
Yeah. Be honest. You know, in all your collaborations with other people. Wash your ass is just a crude way of saying, you know, take care of yourself. Shower. You know.
Yeah.
Eat the right things. Make your bed in the morning. And then handle your business is just, you know, diligence.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do and do it well. You know.
Hell yeah. Perfect. I love it. Thank you for
of course,
being on the cast. We really do appreciate thank you, Cass, for being on the cast.
It's all it's a bar. Yeah, you said maybe because you gotta go back and
thank you, bro.
You got it, man. All right.